Bennett Davison here with a podcast, with the EuroHooplife podcast. We're going to be talking specifically with Sean Smith and his experience in Slovakia. Sean, how's it going today?
Man, I'm good, man. How about yourself, man?
Outstanding.
How's
I'm down here
everything?
in Dallas, so I'm staying
Yeah,
inside,
up
staying
here
safe.
outside. Yeah, same here. I'm outside of Chicago in a city called Gary, Indiana,
Oh
doing the
yeah.
same thing, staying safe and being cool with the family. So
Say
yeah,
hello to AJ Guyton for me. I think he's from Peoria.
he is. He is. He's
Yep.
actually yeah. Definitely good people, so for sure.
Played with
Yep.
him in Virtus Bologna. Well, let's jump into it. What EuroHooplife is an Angies List for international basketball players. I want your insight. What was it like when you first got the contract? When you got there, what was the living situation? What was the city like? Give some insight to a player that's looking to be able to sign a contract and give the team name and everything.
Yeah. So this was my first place that I played at was called BK Iskra Svit. It's in Slovakia.
You're gonna have to
And
text that
arriving there,
to him.
yeah, I got it. I'll definitely text you. They're out. The town was out in the mountains. Arriving there, there's no that you can actually fly into in Slovakia to go to the place. So you either have to fly to Poland, which is like maybe around like 2.5 hours away, and catch the train down, or you have to go to Hungary. So I flew to Hungary to Budapest, and from there I took the train overnight over to Slovakia.
So nobody
So
came and
I
got
am
you.
a so someone met me there in that city that knew like the club, and from there they pretty much just put me on the train, and I was on the train for 5 hours in the middle of the night. And once I get off the train, there was a cab there waiting for me. So yeah, this was my first experiences going to Europe. I didn't know anything, didn't know anybody. I was just basically just like most people do. They just stopping people, asking them questions, just trying to get your directions,
How do I get to there? Is this
like
the
where to
right
go.
place? When
Yeah,
do
how
I
do
get
I?
off on the
What do
train?
I do? So now my first assumption, I'm like, man, this is going to be awful because no one is telling me anything. And I don't know how real this is, but when I actually got to out the cab to the place and the whole town was there, they were waiting on me. I was staying in a hotel they call Kaliba, which is like a food restaurant. It's a hotel at top. So I was basically staying there, and it was like right across the street from the gym. So we could just walk straight there from the gym in the morning. So the town was a very, very small town, like a country vibe. It was really like maybe, I mean, you can literally maybe like 6 or 7 streets in the whole
Right.
town. But what they did have, they had a main city named Pop-Rad that was basically like maybe like 10 miles down.
Mm-hmm.
So if you needed anything, you need to go to the grocery store, or you need to go like their version of Walmart. Everything that you needed, the nightlife, the nice eateries were all in Pop-Rad.
So you're kind
So
of
that's
outside
basically,
at the outskirts of town in the
you was
suburbs.
like the outskirts of town, so a little small town. So that's how you kind of did everything at. It's right there.
Okay.
So that's how it basically was. But yeah, but when I got there, the first thing I did, of course, was sleep, sleep, and got my rest in. And the next day was off to getting my first experiences, like on the court. So, but as far as the town was nice. When I first got in, of course, I was hungry, so they drove me around to give me some pizza. I mean, I think that's like the only thing that was always open was just getting a quick slice of pizza. But yeah, after that, I was straight to sleep. So yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
So what were the facilities like? It sounds like it was once you got there, you're like you had no expectation, and that's what a lot of. I mean, a lot of teams will mostly likely have somebody there to pick you up, travel with you, make sure you have something to eat, some cash in your hand for their money, that type of stuff. But it sounded like you were like I was kind of hesitant, but now it was very welcoming. What were the facilities like? It sounded like you just said that it was right across the street. You ate, sleep, everything in one localized area.
Yeah, so our facilities were it wasn't as big as most places I've been to. But for the facilities, it was still like everything was like right in walking distance. So right across the street was the gym, and that was where the general manager's office and everything was at. And then next to the gym was our weight room area. So
Okay.
our gym basically had like one side with bleachers, one side of wall. So it was like a wall that closed off where you just kind of sit at for the team, and you're looking at the fans up into the bleachers. So it roughly said about around like 2,000 people. It wasn't really like one
Well,
of
it can
those
get
big
crazy in those
gyms,
little small gyms with
but
2,000 people.
but that's the thing I was just about to say. With those little small gyms, it gets packed and crazy on game days.
Yeah.
So we had a great floor. It was really really bouncy. We had a little practice area in the back gym there, and then we also had a nice little looking weight room across the street from us. So our daily things were to go straight to our shooting practice, and then we're straight to the weight room. Now we didn't have a trainer as far as in the weight room, so mainly we did our own things. That's something that happens in Europe. Sometimes you have a
Yeah.
trainer, sometimes you don't. So this place I didn't have one, but I actually did have. We had a massage therapist and someone there for as an athletic trainer to help us. So
And taping
there were times
ankles and
where,
therapies and things of that nature.
yeah, but we had a guy. Usually, we have somebody just to tape and to warm us up. But this guy was actually a massage therapist. So sometimes, like after like a hard game or
Yeah.
something, instead of just going to ice, we're getting a massage before we ice.
Okay.
So it
So you
was
felt like
really,
all the
really, really.
medical sides of things were taken care of what you guys
Your
needed
medical
to.
sides were definitely good.
Okay.
Definitely taken care of. So that was definitely good. It was just as far as like them like having someone to train us in the weight room or certain things that really have us on like a pattern. We didn't
Yeah.
really have that for sure. As
Okay.
far as the facilities and everything, that was definitely nice. Yeah.
So do you have any funny or exciting or different stories that happened while you were over there? And then we'll finish up with the whole financial portion of the how the team went with you.
Yeah. So I would say one of the craziest things that happened to me is that a lot of people don't know. My first time there playing, I actually got injured. I broke my arm playing in the game. I was playing against a guy, Lando Tucker. He played. I don't know if you remember him. He played with the Phoenix Suns for a little
Okay.
bit. Went to
Yep. No. Yes, I
Wisconsin.
do.
Yeah. So he were playing against them. He would play for a team called Bratislava. They were probably like 5 hour drive away from
Okay.
us. And while playing, we were having a tough game. This was supposed to be one of the biggest competitors. They were leading the league. We were really trying to beat them. And you know how that goes in Europe.
Yep.
That they tell you, hey, we need to really win this game. You must win this game today. We got a lot of stuff on the line. So everybody's pumped up. We're trying to do what we can. We're fighting hard, and we're down because, of course, their team is great. They had the bigger budget and they could pay a little bit more. As we get into the finance, they could pay a little bit more and get better players. So we're fighting and going about everything the right way, trying to get back into the game. And I'm just like, man, I'm trying to, like you're supposed to do, is try to get a chance to take over. So I get a steal. I just scored maybe 2 points in a row. So I get a steal. I'm driving up the lane. I'm going up the side. And this is a key thing that I learned overseas that I didn't know at first. I went up for one leg when the guy was chasing me down,
Oh, they'll
and I
tackle
went
you
up
or
to go
take you
jump.
out.
I went up to jump, and he went like he was going to block it. But, I jumped so high, he nudged me on the side right under my hips. And my legs went sideways, and I'm like laying in the bed in the middle of the air. And boom, I come down, missed the dunk, boom, no foul, no nothing called. And I try to sit up and get up, and I try to push off. I'm looking like, whoa, okay, push off. And all of a sudden I look up, and I hate to say this on this, but my arm's just dangling left and
Ooh,
right.
compound
So
fracture.
I need to talk about this because what happened after this, no help was really done for me, like far as like them actually sending me to therapy is doing the things the right way. So like my arm was dangling. He was like, hey, Sean, you need to go home because if you try to do something here, they probably just let you sit out for a while, maybe get you to a little bit of therapy, but not really fix the
They
problem.
want to say go home and
So
do it the right way.
yeah, so that's one of the things I would say. I always laugh at it now because, of course, I matured and grew from that. But like my arm was really, really messed up, and sometimes people kind of want you to get right back on the court. And for maybe was it 5 weeks, I'm sitting there in a cast, and I eventually get it
Yeah.
back to moving and working, but it's still not 100%. So that was just one of the crazy stories that happened to me. I never had an injury ever in my life, but I had an injury when I was down when I was
Yep.
down there.
That was
Never,
yeah.
never.
Like with injuries, there's certain those like extreme situations. Like, what do I go home, or even just maybe a husband or wife having a baby over in Europe, something of that
Yeah, so
situation. You never know
we
what you're going to get
honestly,
into.
yeah, we didn't actually have families out there living. I thought the living situation was okay for certain individuals, but I think for us, we actually literally had maybe like 5 Americans, and usually that's not the case.
Okay.
But some of these clubs they get more Americans, and what they do is they just maybe give them a certain budget that's kind of cut off, and they pack them into one team.
Yeah.
So that's the situation that we had going out there with that team out there. So we didn't have anybody that really was staying with their families or staying alone like
Okay.
that. We always kind of like
Well,
either one person with each other and just two per apartment.
yeah.
So yeah.
So and rounding the interview off, and just finances. Obviously, we're professional athletes. We our basketball skills We go out there, present ourselves, and a team is willing to give you money instead of us going to a 9 to 5 or teaching or whatever job you might have. Our job is being traveling basketball sales individuals. What
Right,
were the
for sure.
finances like in Slovakia?
So the finances for the team we're at, I believe that the team was trying their best to get as much of quantity of people and not get the quality. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times they were just offering people contracts and not really holding into their, in the bargain, if that makes
Mm-hmm.
any sense. So they started off, I guess, offering nice contracts where some people were making a decent amount of money. And it went on from, okay, we want to add more people. So let's try to give people half that and try to bring them on. And then, you start making so many promises, you typically can't compensate
Yeah.
everybody. So there's lot of times at that place where certain people were getting paid and certain people wasn't. And I know you probably have seen that story time and time again where you have someone get paid and then someone doesn't,
Yeah.
or
That's why we're
someone
here
doesn't
talking
get
about this
all
right
their
now.
money. Yeah. And I would say that it depends on who's the star. Like sometimes, like, I mean, and I mean, I know a lot of younger people, they might understand it, but sometimes if you're the star and you're doing what you're supposed to do, you definitely might be secured. But then your friend who might be having a bad game or bad situation, he might not be getting anything, at times, or say they're going to wait over 2 weeks late and that 2 weeks starts to 2 months. So that was definitely one of the situations where I was okay. And I know another friend was okay, but I know two friends that weren't okay.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Now, so my thing is, I never had a bad experience. I never was treated bad, and my friend never was. But some of the people who wasn't producing, and they couldn't probably send them home. Maybe as far as afford
Yeah.
the money to send them home, they wasn't. They were pretty late for their payments. Now I know that hearing from certain friends that they took care of them as far as getting them something, but it wasn't what they actually were supposed to get.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
So after
and I've heard
all
them
this
stories like that
information,
time and time.
So after all this information you provided, with them taking the train out there, having all the facilities in the right place, you're in the suburbs, you're next to a bigger city. Finances weren't all that great or consistent because you said they're trying to get too much bang for their buck. How would you rate? Would you
Yeah.
recommend playing a player if someone was to reach out to you? How would they reach out to you or get in contact with you to ask you about the team? And second, would you recommend that they go and play for this individual's?
So so for sure. Since I left there, I think that I know there's the people that, as far as in the management, were good people. As far as they were trying to do things, I think they didn't have it to do it with. And since I've left, they've really revamped their whole management system.
Okay.
So now they've kind of changed their arena, they've changed what they do. They've got, better people in, more sponsors in, it kind of helps. So now they're booming. You know what I'm saying? They don't have any more issues. They don't have any problems as far as, what basically, like, they would have to worry about who we're going to pay and who we're not going to pay, etc. And that's another thing that I didn't say, like, as far as the car situations. I didn't mention that, but we had to sometimes walk in the snow there. And I don't know if anybody knows about Slovakia, but Slovakia is a very, very cold place. And
Yeah.
I'm talking about, you start walking in the snow and it's wet and your feet are numb. Like, you're not going to feel your feet when you go to the gym. That's a hard thing to play for. And
Yeah.
then when you get to the gym and the gym is already cold and you got to warm up and play in your sweats, your sweats and your hoodie and just put your jersey on top of
Yeah.
it. It's just what you got to do, and you got to be professional and get it done.
Yeah.
But that was one of the things that we kind of had. Once your car broke, that was it. But I think now they basically got on top of that, where they have multiple cars, they have people to fix the cars, and they have different things in place for people to just help them out.
Well, it sounds like they were going through some working out the kinks when you were there, and now they've got some of
Yes, I definitely, I
open
definitely,
books.
I definitely believe so, for sure.
Okay.
I think that was just something that they had to work out, and it happens. I mean, it's things that happen in Europe. Sometimes you might go through a year where you're not getting sponsored like you were, and I'm sure you understand. Like, there's plenty of teams that, not getting sponsored, they're losing sponsors because they're not winning, they're not doing as good,
Yeah.
and that just happens for sure. So yeah, I
Well,
would
Sean, what's
say
the
for
best way for
sure.
people to get in contact with you?
I would say for sure, just I have Instagram. My name is Sean Smith 35, and also on Twitter it's the same name, Sean Smith 35.
Okay.
And if anybody needed to, they also can reach me out on my email. My email is Coach Smith. It's COACH Smith smith1285@gmail.com. And I also have a YouTube page, Coach Smith. I also do training, and I also do a little bit of basketball coaching. So I do post like videos and things that people can actually watch to just better their skills and etc. So
we'll put the
that's just
YouTube
something.
channel on the link when we post this up on the EuroHooplife YouTube archive.
Okay.
Sean,
Okay,
thank
for
you for your
sure.
time and your knowledge, and we'll start talking about other countries. We'll talk about Japan next.
Okay, perfect,
Thanks.
perfect, perfect, perfect.